Today, we're looking at an article that has been blowing up online and asking a wild question. Is having a boyfriend now embarrassing? Because when I read it, I noticed some pattern that is going to quietly tear men and women apart forever. So in this video, I'm going to break down the article. I'm going to share with you what it really tells you about modern relationships and modern dating. And then I'm going to finish with asking a red hot question that is probably not going to go down too well, but it's one every single person needs to ask themselves after reading this article. So let's dive into this, because immediately, if someone says as much as "my boyf" on social media, they're muted. There's nothing I hate more than following someone for fun, only for their content to become "my boyfriendified" suddenly. To me, this screams one thing: bitterness. I I don't know if this girl has a relationship, it doesn't say that. But to me, what this screams is, I don't really have that thing. Look at these other people having a happy time, a happy relationship, and they're shoving that. No, no, what awful people they are. And it really sets the tone for this article as a whole as I go through it. This sense that other people's enjoyment of life, other people's relationships, their connection, that is to be denigrated. And it's honestly just kind of sucky to see. As we go through it, I'm not going to take you through word for word. If you want to, either pause, read it, or I'll link to the article. But it keeps on with this note of this idea that girlfriends go into boyfriend land, posting their identities for some elevated social status, which isn't really something I have ever seen. Potentially that's something that exists within the female world. But what I would say is, she starts to talk about how women are starting to hide this connection they have with their relationships. They're doing these soft launches, the guy with the hand on the steering wheel, the clinking of glasses. And she is almost like being, oh, why might girls be doing this? Why aren't they so overt with their posting? Realistically, you only have to look at your opening line to see why they might be. Because mean girls will come at them for it. They will denigrate them socially. They will push their status down just because they are happy and other people aren't. And it makes me sad to see that. This idea that women are having to retreat and hide what was once special, something they cared about so deeply, because on social media, people are now gathering in groups and doing the same mean girl stuff that was happening in high school, but now on social media, trying to push them like into this idea that having a boyfriend is simply wrong. One of my biggest problems with this article as a whole as we go through it, it opens with a question of, is it embarrassing to have a boyfriend? But the writer of this has made their mind up, and I'll show you that as we continue to move through. Because she asks, what gives? Are people embarrassed of their boyfriends now? And then continues to reinforce this idea that, well, so boyfriend obsessed that they become across quite culturally loserish. Every single time in this article, it comes up of this idea of, oh, well, is it this, is it that? She immediately hits in with the sense of, well, it's actually kind of loserish to have a boyfriend, like, what are you doing? It just comes across quite bitter, and it makes me sad reading this. One where they can receive the social benefits, have a partner, but not appear so boyfriend obsessed they come across quite loserish. So sad. And as we kind of move through, she asks, but it's not all about image. She asked her 65,000 followers, and some of them looks like they were brave enough to bring up that idea of the evil eye, a belief that their happy relationship would spark jealousy so strong that in other people that it would end their relationship. Let me show you what's actually happening here. She is identifying the quite valid fear that the belief that their happy relationship would spark jealousy in others. Like, that's certainly the case. We even see it actually in this article earlier on. But then what does she do? She does a sneaky trick where, rather than addressing what that jealousy would mean, instead she kind of strawmans the argument so strong that it could end the relationship. I don't think that jealousy of Susan, a friend from bloody yoga class, is going to end their relationship. What it will do is make a girl potentially feel insecure, ostracized from the group, and that's the real hurt, that's the real damage. But she's like, no, no, she blows it out proportion. So it almost seems kind of silly and ridiculous. Like, oh, no, no, it's not, can't be that they're just jealous and they get end of the relationship. So it's a good way of burying what is a really valid point. And then she just goes on to talk about other things. Others were concerned about their relationship ending and being stuck with posts. We broke up recently, and I don't think I will ever post a man. Even though I'm romantic, I still feel like men will embarrass you even 12 years in. So claiming them feels so lame. It's such a writing trick to be able to do this thing where we put a little bit of lip service at the beginning, then make it look stupid, and then just hit you with the idea of claiming them feeling lame. And once again, it's sad that this is the case, that they're really emphasizing this idea to women. It's in British Vogue. There are women reading this. And what are they hearing? They're being peppered with this sense of, oh, even after 12 years, it could be wrong, it could fall apart. Oh, we broke up recently. I don't think I'd ever post a man again. Whatever happened to just deleting the photos? Whatever, why is that an issue now? To me, that just seems crazy. And the sense that, oh, men are just, they're a ticking time bomb. They're waiting to just embarrass you. Well, what does that mean? They embarrass you because they're just a guy, or they post something funny on the it's so vague, but it just seems so cutting, and it's constantly loserish, lame. It's just like, I'm not going to post any man. It's just constantly underpinning this aggression and bitterness towards relationships. Then there was an overwhelming sense that from single and partnered women alike, that regardless of the relationship, being with a man is an almost guilty thing to do. You self-perpetuate this. Is almost crazy to me to see an article that is written that so clearly makes it feel unacceptable for a girl to have a boyfriend, to seek relationships, to seek connection. And then for her to almost feign surprise at the idea that women feel this overwhelming sense from single and partnered women alike, but being in a relationship was almost a girly thing to do. But think about it. Is it going to be men that are making them guilty for this? I don't think so. Where might this be coming from? Saying that even women who've got partners feel guilty. And now I want you to pay attention to this bit, because it's going to become key later on when I talk to you about that question that everyone should ask. Right. She talks about, on the Delusional Diaries podcast, fronted by two New York-based influencers, they discuss how having a boyfriend is lame, and she continues to pepper boyfriends being out of style. They won't come back till they start acting right. It takes a hit on women's aura. Fair enough. The writer actually raises a fair point. Both of these hosts have partners, which is something I often see online. Even, we're so close. We're so close for her to be able to make like such a valid point. And then we go off the other way. Even partnered women will just lament heterosexuality, partly for solidarity, but now because it is fundamentally uncool to be a boyfriend girl. That doesn't sound like journalism to me. That doesn't sound like someone that is exploring the idea. I think that is someone that is trying to portray a message that is lame, that loserish, that it is uncool to do this. And this is in a big thought leader of the female space. This is something that girls look up to. It's somewhere they go to advice for. And once again, it's this message that, no, it's not cool to do this. You should be single. That's the real thing that you should do. Avoid connection. Focus on your career, whatever it is. But yeah, connection, that thing that time and time again, in every study of like happiness over the course of your life, the thing that says a meaningful relationship is the thing that's going to give you the most amount of life satisfaction. No, you don't need that. Not at all. Freaking ridiculous. Okay. Yeah, it's like, oh, it's not just in these women's imaginations. Audiences are icked out by seeing too much boyfriend content. Oh God, yeah, this one. So, when author and Vogue contributor Stephanie, I'm not going to attempt that, Yaboa, hard launched her boyfriend, she lost hundreds of followers. Oh no. What a shame, and what a challenge to your life it is that the meaningful relationship that you created had a slight impact where you lost some followers, some people online that you've never met, right? This has always been the case of relationships. There's a stat that once you get into a relationship, you go from having like, I think you can sustain 5 close friends, and then if you have a relationship, that drops down to 2. That's like, that is how things have always been. But she raises it absolutely again, okay, again, cringy and embarrassing, with this Sophie Milner girl who experienced people unfollowing her when she had a romantic relationship. I looked at Sophie's profile, don't know absolutely anything about her, but I will point out that there was a fair chance they were not just female followers that were dipping out. There was probably quite a few thirsty, somewhat guys that were like, oh no, my imaginary dream of finally dating Sophie has probably come to a close. Unfollow. They're probably not people she wants following her anyway, but it's just so self-centered. It's so me, me, me. Oh my God, I posted my most intimate relationship and it led to me losing followers. Imagine putting your follower count above your most personal relationship. Crazy, crazy. So, what we got? I have my notes down here because this just annoyed me far too much. And yeah, I think we're coming to the end of this bloody article, but now she starts to begin a bit of an assault on heterosexuality of now traditional roles begin to crumble. We're forced to reevaluate our blind allegiance to heterosexuality. And I'm going to get to this of why I think this is painfully ridiculous, but I want to speak to this here first. Once again, remember the trick that she's done all article. I want you to be aware of this going forward. Obviously, there's no shame in falling in love, quick lip service, but there's also no shame in trying and failing to find it or not trying at all. Can you imagine giving that advice to men and that message to men? I think even women have managed to come up with a term for these men that don't try at all in dating, or even fail to find it. They've started to call them incels in a very aggressive, purgatory manner, and that's what they get called for failing to find love. But for women, no, no, it's fine. Like, you're not trying at all. Like, yeah, that's absolutely fine. But for men, what a loser! What a shit! This guy can't get a girl. What a ridiculous guy he is. Cast him out. Why would we give him any help, any attention? Why would we even encourage him to pursue a relationship? It just makes me sad. Like, reading this hurt me. Like, I've not done this style of breakdown before, but I read this, I saw all over on my Substack, on people telling me about this article because it just lit up the internet and it just has such a rotten message at its core of this idea that, no, 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 boyfriends are dumb. Like, those men over there, they're silly, they're horrible. And we're coming to that question that you need to ask yourself after this. But it's serious attack on the thing that's made us most stable, the thing that probably is the most primal element of who we are, finding somebody to spend our life with. And even on practical terms, come on, why might society want to potentially prioritize at a societal level heterosexuality? Maybe because that's the only way society survives. That, to me, that seems quite, yeah, it makes sense. And this is the difference. This is something that people get wrong all of the time. How there should be a message at one level, the societal, and a message at the individual. If one individual person decides that relationships and dating isn't for them, then absolutely fine, do your thing, do not worry. But that does not mean that that one person should now be the exemplar of what everybody should be aiming for. We should all aim for having a relationship with somebody. That should be the idealized love norm. Like, why not? If someone doesn't make that, we don't hate on them, but we do still encourage it as being where we should be going. So the coffin of centuries-old heterosexual fairy tale that has never really benefited women to begin with. Once again, let's like end as we started. Cheeky little general bitterness of just why relationships aren't that great. Like, there is a female paradox, and this explains it so, so well. So we'll do the female paradox, and then I'm going to ask you that question. The female paradox is women that become more and more successful, that get a larger and larger voice, a larger platform to be able to communicate to other women, are the most atypical which it means they are the most sort of unique and different, and also the ones that struggle in dating the most. Because the unfortunate thing for women is the more successful they become, the more they shrink their dating pool. Because women typically want to date sort of at equal level or above, and more power to them. They have to deal with like childbirth and things like that, and they're the predominant carer. You do that, but it does introduce a paradox that people that get in these positions of being able to communicate at such wide berth, they don't have a typical experience. They literally end up having this really small dating pool, this inability to find a partner because all of those guys have now got like unlimited options, and they find it really difficult. And they communicate to other women that this is how things are, and it's like, no, this is how things are for you. The women that settled down and had like quite a healthy, happy relationship didn't end up amassing 500,000 followers on Instagram. So it creates this paradox where the ones that give advice don't live a typical life. They don't, and it pushes people in a wrong direction, and they express what their worldview is as if it's the worldview of everybody. So finally, the question that I want you to ask yourself after reading this, after going through this with me, why might it be beneficial for some women to tell other women that having a boyfriend is embarrassing? Who might that benefit? Like, think about it. Definitely doesn't benefit the men. Like, the men here are getting told they're embarrassing, women are being told not to date them. Phew, men are kind of getting a rough deal from this article. The women that hear the message, well, it's not really a great deal for them either. They're getting told, oh, those dumb men over there, you shouldn't date them. No, like, they're terrible. They're like that most meaningful thing that you're going to have in your life, the thing that is going to connect you. No, you don't need that. Go be lonely. No, it does kind of benefit the ones that tell the message, because it works for them whether they're single or partnered. If they're single, they spread this message. They do the thing that all humans want to do: normalize their positions so they feel safe. If I'm single, I don't like it if other people are in relationships, if I'm a slightly bitter person, because it highlights my lack of singleness. It makes me feel like the outsider, the other. And people don't like feeling like the outsider or the other, so they want to make their position the norm. And that's what articles like this do. It makes people feel comfortable about their life choices because they can make it the norm. This is what this last line is largely saying. It's like, oh, this centuries-old heterosexual fairy tale that never really benefited women. It's like, you know that thing that we've been doing for ages? Yeah, nah, I'm not that, so you guys shouldn't be either. And then it also gives them the added benefit that should they suddenly choose to date, they can wipe like a load of the girls out of the dating pool. Think about it. It's like, oh yeah, you girls, no, focus on other areas of your life, live the adventure, go to Cancun, do all this stuff. Oh, but these guys are now single. Hmm. I can shoot off over there with low competition. That's pretty good. And the girls that have a boyfriend already, what's in it for them? Well, it's a really good mate guarding strategy to be kind of like, oh, boyfriends are just embarrassing. So like, no, like you don't want this guy. It's like, he's kind of embarrassing. He's lame, but you know what? I'm just kind of here because whatever. You don't want to steal him. You don't want to have a taste of what I have and what I've chosen to have and the thing that I'm going to continue to have. You don't want that. So stay away. And that's what it is. This article is loaded with benefit to the people that want to share that message, the people that want to tell others, no. You don't want, like, boyfriends, they're embarrassing. They're not. You don't need to spend your time. You don't need to compete with me. You don't need to potentially steal something from me. And it's like, I don't even want to give this girl too much grief. Like, I'm sure she thinks she's coming from a good place, or she deep down maybe wants a relationship and she's struggling. I feel bad. It makes me feel sad reading this, like, that people are going to miss out on it. And that's why it's like, it's hard. I feel bad for the person that's writing it, but at the same time, she's giving such bad advice and ruining a generation of young girls that are getting pushed further and further away from men, seeing men as the enemy, being scared to go on a date with them. This is a slow concept creep. We managed to denigrate marriage to such a point that doesn't happen. Now let's get rid of boyfriends. Soon come, it'll be embarrassing to even go on a date with a guy, and then we'll all be stood off on our own. Because that's the issue with being individualistic. That's what she's pushing for here. You should all be your special snowflake individuals, and that's all well and good, when it's coming from a tight-knit group. But the issue is, if you take individualism to its extreme, which is what this is advocating for, that all you do is become an individual long enough, you end up being stood all alone. And articles like this, that's what they'll do. They'll leave us all stood, all alone, wondering what happened. And that's why it makes me feel sad. And that's why you need to ask yourself, after this article, after anything that you see that looks like this, who does it really benefit to have this message? So if you enjoyed that, let me know, because I'll do more styles like this. I've never done one like this before. If you want to see some of my other stuff, I've got a bunch of tier lists up here that I'm sure you'll love. I will catch you there. Stop reading these articles. They're dumb. Go back to seeking connection.